Okay, here we go. So welcome back, everyone. Um, and welcome to those of you who are new to Medicine Buddha. I can't really explain what's going to happen, but something's going to happen, and you're going to be all the better for it. You may not appreciate it now, but I promise you, in a life in the future, when you're on the threshold of enlightenment, you're going to look back over all your lives and you're going to be like, oh, damn, that session with Lama Rod and Medicine Buddha, where I was completely confused, is the reason I'm about to obtain enlightenment. Granted, I'm going to be long gone because, I'm not hanging around and waiting for y'all to get free. I'm sorry, I'm going to wait until everyone gets free and I'll be right behind you. Sorry, I said the silent part out loud. So thank you everyone for being back. Thank you, for your practice. And so tonight, let's just start with. I know it's been a little bit. Last week I wasn't in the session, but I would love to start with like a little check-in. There's a lot happening. So, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Lama Rod. And I know I always jump in, but I want to say two things. One thing, I wish I could say them simultaneously. Tonight on PBS, all over the country, is this Ken Burns documentary on the buffalo. So it's about the buffalo and the Native American people. And I think it's going to be incredible. And so I think it's going to be huge honoring of the indigenous people and what happened with them and the buffalo and all that. And that's going to be it's going to start at 8 Eastern time. So that'll be happening simultaneously. And I'll probably sign off to watch that. I just wanted to say, because we're so careful about placing the names of the unceded lands where we lived, and I just think it's interesting it's happening tonight. So I want to say that. And the other thing I want to say is the situation in Israel and Palestine and Gaza is so horrific. It's hard to get my mind around, and the feeling of helplessness of not being able to stop what's going on in Gaza, and that the United States is helping to facilitate some of that because of the way we support Israel kind of uncritically. I mean, I've spent more time in a synagogue probably than I have in a Buddhist temple. So don't get me wrong here, but I just think it's a nightmare beyond all proportions. So I'm glad to be with a group of people together. And I'm glad to be with you. And I'm glad to be with all these people I know who love everybody over there. So it's horrible for all sides. And I'm hoping you'll have something to say about that.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Any more? Yeah. You can check in the chat box, so you don't have to come on and speak. To of course, another question too is, what are you hoping to get out of practice in this session tonight? Like, what are you coming here to get?
Can I say something?
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to share that, and I appreciate it. I kind of came in the middle of Rachel's shares. Thank you for speaking. And I am here to practice, and it's work, and I didn't want to come on this call. And so I'm hoping just to the question of what to get out of this is I kind of just wanted to bring into the space of like, I really love this space and I'm reluctantly here today. And I think coming to meditate when you're most reluctant is a very important thing. So thank you for that. If that makes sense. I hope that was coherent.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder why. What could you speak more about the reluctance?
Um, I feel I feel a little bit full, and like ill and sick. And so I'm expecting some words and to be helped by your words and transmissions, but I'm also expecting the embodied experience to be uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Eli?
Eli may have achieved rainbow body, but I'll keep track of Eli, and we'll make sure to follow.
Oh, any spiritual attainment,
Sorry,
I get
I
part of
was on.
it. So anyway.
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself.
Oh,
Um, I was saying that I have found myself sitting with a lot of people in deep grief, and so I have really, over the past like 4 or 5 months, found like I've been in a thinking in process with just like a connection with Medicine Buddha, and so today I find myself kind of like even though I'm very tired, I find myself kind of energized to explore that kind of connection and to do the like sustaining part of the work to make sure I don't like burn out or fall apart completely. It feels like a tired kind of very hopeful, which kind of as somebody who has 5 Capricorn placements is really as hopeful as I get is in a very tired way because it has to be all of it. So, um, yeah, I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some things done, and that feels good. And I don't think that's often the state I'm in at the top of the meditation. That's more the bottom of it. So feeling that way and wanted to share. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your teaching as well, the teachings that you're doing to support people in Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, lucky to have a lot of community out here to really breathe with. There's a lot of people willing to work together.
Yeah. Maybe we'll take one more person if one more person would like to share. And of course, the chat is open for any sharing. If anyone else would like to come on screen.
Yeah, I'll jump on since Dave dealing with a lot of grief. Girlfriend broke up with me, and going through that loss, and just the solar eclipse on Saturday did me in. I also did a ceremonial mushroom ceremony sit, and the energy from Saturday and just everything with Palestine and Israel has, yeah, what other people are saying has just taxed me beyond my capacity. But I am pleased and ready to sit because I'm hoping that the group and the Medicine Buddha will shift some things for me.
Thank you. Yeah. A lot of people were actually in ceremony this weekend. Ceremony this weekend as well. So, yeah. I tell you what, this practice loves a challenge. So whatever you're holding on to, the practice is going to meet you at the fixations, the holding on. Well, yeah. So are you ready to get free yet? Are you ready? Are you ready to get free? Like, because it's a lot, right? And so at what point do you say, how can I start divesting from the suffering? Right? Because the divestment doesn't mean that you leave people behind. It doesn't mean that you get like it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean you lose empathy. It doesn't mean you lose compassion. It's actually when you start getting free, you start getting actually way more compassionate, right? You get way clearer, like because you're no longer in this ambiguous space where you're like, oh, I don't know, this is overwhelming, but what else is there? No, once you get clear, like things begin to shift around you, right? Our aspiration to get free begins to shape the phenomenal world around us, right? And everything seems really stuck because you haven't actually gotten clear with yourself or with this goal of enlightenment, right? You haven't gotten clear that like this situation that we're in isn't for us to make a home in and try to work out, you know. We're trying to transcend this experience, transcending delusion into clarity, right? Which means that we will transcend into deeper love, deeper compassion, deeper care, right? And that aspiration to get free is also when we start getting clear about who we are, right? Who we are and what we're not interested in anymore, right? Samsara, or the carceral state, will always break your heart, but at some point you need to realize that's what it does. Like, this world isn't doing anything that is not supposed to be doing, right? This isn't a pure realm, right? This isn't I was going to say this isn't a God's realm, but God's realm isn't actually anywhere that we should be going either. Right? We say the world is really fucked up because the world is supposed to be fucked up. That's what samsara is. Cycles of delusion that really function to disrupt our agency to choose something different, right? To choose something different. You have to remember that you can choose something different. We can choose it individually. We can choose it collectively, right? And it takes work, right? So yeah, you say, I'm ready to get free. I'm ready to help others get free. I'm ready to disrupt and abolish these systems of violence. Great. Now it's time for the labor, right? So not only do you have to choose freedom, you have to choose the work. Are you ready to work, right? Because the real work will come in times when you don't want to do shit. That's when the practice gets real, when you're like, shit, I don't want to do this, right? But your back is against the wall. So what choice do you have, right? So are you ready to get free, or are you ready to work to get free, right? And are you ready to call in the resources that are here to help you get free? Because a lot of you haven't even done that either. You have a lot of choices to start making. You need to start getting clear about a whole bunch of things. Like, let's get free, let's do the work, and let's call in our resources. And we are wealthy with resources, right? Wealthy with resources. We're like trillionaires in spiritual resources. We really are. Like, that's not an exaggeration. We do not live in a world system that does not have systems of liberation or paths of liberation. We live in a world system full of pathways to get free, right? Like, this is not a hell realm, right? This is not a hell realm. But for some of us, it can feel like a hell realm, absolutely. Depending on where we're at, what we're experiencing, what we're trying to survive, yes, absolutely. But overall, in this realm that we're all sharing is not a hell realm, because there are clear ways to get free if we choose it and if we want it. Shit didn't happen for me until I got clear about what I wanted. And the only thing that I want is to transcend, to disrupt really the causes and conditions of suffering, to remember who I am. So calling in our resources, this is what Medicine Buddha is. Like, this is what all the practices are. Like, these are our resources, right? We have these resources because we've done such incredible work to be here. Even these folks that we can't stand in the world, like, even they've done extremely meritorious things to be in this world as well, Like, so many profound resources. Are we ready to actually trust these resources? Are we actually ready to really take this seriously? And I can't make that choice for you. Like, I really can't. The collectives can't make that choice for us. Our communities can't do that. Harriet Tubman didn't make that choice for me. I mean, let's just keep going on and on and on. Like, no one can make the choice to get free except for you. You have to consent to this. And when you consent, you have to be ready for your heart to break wide open. Right? Because as we're pushing away the work to get free, we're also intensely trying to keep all the brokenness together, because we don't want it to spill all over the place, creating a mess. Right? To allow our hearts to break, and not only to allow our hearts to break, but to have the courage to move into the brokenheartedness, because there is liberation on the other side of heartbreak. And once that happens, right, I think one thing that you're going to have to learn how to do, right, is you're going to have to learn how to die. You're going to have to learn how to die over and 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 over again. Dying is going to be just your practice. Every second is a death. Every second is a letting go of who you thought you were. Every second is this devastating kind of falling away of the person you thought you were. Everything has to die. Whatever we think we are now, we're not, and that's going to have to die. You know? But it's hard to do that if you're terrified of death. Right? Like you have to understand too. You have to understand that like there are those of us who take this very seriously. There are those of us who've taken this very seriously for many lifetimes. And this is why we show up in the way that we do. Right? This is why actually we're practicing Medicine Buddha, because Medicine Buddha was indeed one of these beings who lifetime after lifetime after a lifetime did this labor to get free. Right? And you have to understand too that I'm not telling you anything that I haven't done. Right? Like I can sit around and talk about heartbreak all day long because I know heartbreak. I know my heartbreak. Because I know my heartbreak, you develop a capacity to know all beings' heartbreak. Right? If you're afraid of your brokenheartedness, you're going to be afraid of the brokenheartedness of everyone. Right? The labor, the work is not glamorous, it's not sexy, right? You're not going to become a social media influencer when you do this work, right? Here, I just happen to have a lovely new book called The New Saints right here in front of me. I don't know where it came from, but I think there's something in here that could be worth reading to bring a point across. So this is obviously most of you don't have this book yet, but when you get the book, this is page 82 and 83, but I'm just going to read 2 paragraphs from these 2 pages. So here we go. Freedom is a process. No one's going to save you. No one is going to save me. You are saved through your own labor, with the support and inspiration of community and other individuals who embody the expression of liberated living. Freedom isn't about you or me being special or good enough. It is about whether we are ready to choose clarity over bullshit and drama. We can't figure out who we are beyond the trauma until we go back and figure out who we were before the trauma. To know ourselves before the trauma is to construct journeys back into history and time, back into old forgotten narratives and even mythologies. Ultimately, we are trying to touch back into the primordial mind, the unborn essence of everything. As the ancient Gate Gate mantra proclaims, you must go beyond, beyond. Coming to the edge and stepping off the edge into the awakening of who you are beyond the boundaries set by the carceral state. So, are you ready to get free or not? Because freedom isn't some willy-nilly shot in the dark with no intention or discernment. It's not something we randomly sign up for because we're bored. Nor is it a hashtag we post to make us look woke. It is not a club we join because all the other cool kids are doing it. It's not a pickup line to impress lovers. It's definitely not some hip existentialist intellectual pursuit that feels like work, but shoves us deeper into the same old bullshit smugness that somehow confuses apathy with freedom. If you choose freedom for real, you will lose shit and maybe never get anything back again. You will be misunderstood. You will not be invited to hang with the cool kids anymore. Your heart will break wide open, revealing the marriage of both sorrow and joy. You will fall into dark places. You will speak in tongues. People will avoid you. You will start to understand that what you thought the world was, it is not. You will start giving a shit, even for the people who hurt you the most. This is not crazy, sexy, or cool, nor is it glamorous. Your struggle will not be televised because people will not be interested in watching you fall apart outside of laughing at you. Freedom is the shedding away of the skin this reality stuck on you and forced you to play in. And the freer you get of the skin, the more you will be blamed for the suffering of others, because your labor will remind them of the labor they are not doing for themselves. And like many of our prophets in the past, who were often just mirrors, reflecting to people their labor, you will be stoned to death, because erasing you is easier than doing the work to get free. There's a reading from the sacred text of the New Saints. Oh, I don't think people are ready for this book. I don't think that I don't think you get what I'm doing here yet. I don't think you realize what's happening now with this book. This is, when I talk about freedom, this is my example. This is the best that I can give at this point in my life. Just like 4 years ago, Love and Rage was the best that I could do. And before that, Radical Dharma was the best that I could do. This is the best that I am doing right now, right? My mother started reading the book this weekend, and she was like, this is a very different book. It's like, yeah, it's a very different book because this is a very different time. You know, like you're going to have to get with this, right? You're going to have to remember your courage. You have to remember all the people who showed us how to get free, right? You have to believe that it is possible. The carceral state, the way the carceral state works is to convince us that we don't actually have a way to get free. You know, I was doing an interview, and after this, we're going to start practicing. After I tell the story, I was doing an interview last week, a live thing, and people were tuning in and posting questions and everything. And I was talking about freedom, just like I'm doing here, talking about freedom. And I was talking about being Black, right? Being Black and queer, growing up in the system, in this country, anti-Blackness and everything that, that I, struggled through, and how I struggle through all of this and feel like I'm in this place where the system, the state is no longer defining who I am. And I'm no longer consciously believing in it and how I'm being defined by the system and the state. And as someone, in the comments were like, well, this is bullshit. There's no way to do this. There's no way to thrive in these systems that are meant to erase and annihilate us. And I was, I just felt a lot of sadness because that's the system working on us. That's how the system keeps us bound to it, by actually convincing us that it is not possible to transcend the system or the state itself. Right. And again, in New Saints is an abolitionist text, so I think about samsara as the carceral state, you know. And so that's how it really works. And well, dare I say the matrix here, right? The matrix worked because it could convince you that it didn't exist, right? And when the matrix was found out, right, and the new movie, right, then the matrix is like, look, but you know, there's nothing really happening. The matrix is just this like imaginary thing. You know, there's no such thing as the matrix, right? And that's the matrix telling you this, right? So in a very similar way, the carceral state will be like, yeah, I'm real. Like this shit is happening, but you can't do shit. What are you gonna do? Like you rely on me, I define you, right? And that's the lie that we have to abolish. That there is no other option beyond the state, because there is. And it's the people who believe it the most who are the people who get in our way. You know, those are the people that I've had to transcend and move beyond, right? Because their despair was being used and weaponized against me, right? And I said, no, right? No, like there is a way out of here, and no matter how extreme what I'm doing feels like or looks like, I'm going to choose this. You know, you have to. I really. Some of you have been here, but I'm very grateful to have had a life where I was presented with this choice, and I said, even if my family, all of my friends, completely disown me, I'm still choosing to get free. And I made that choice, actually. That's not hypothetical, right? When I decided to do 3-year retreat and take on this work, you know, that was the real threat that people would just completely disown me. And I said, okay, you know, without even thinking about it. I'm sashaying into retreat going like, well, maybe I'll see you in 3 years or maybe not, right? And there's so much joy here too. Like it's not, yeah, it seems overwhelming. Like I remember my elders coming hard and fast like this. And I was just like, y'all are so fucking intense. And I'm like, I can't, like, y'all, please, like, this is so overwhelming. Why are you like, I mean, I would, as a young person, I would be like, this is too much. You know, you and your freedom. And like my activist elders who were just like, you know, had no problem going to jail for 10 years for an action. You know, they're just like, this is what we do. You know, like, this is our commitment. I would be like, this is put on the brakes, overwhelming. I just want to have fun. You know, I want to help a few people and also want to have fun. But then all of a sudden, after 20 years, 30 years, you're becoming your elders. And you're like, oh, I get it. Like, I absolutely get this. Now, this is how clear you have to be to do this and to keep doing it, because there's a lot of people who didn't continue the work, right? A lot of people who were just like, listen, I can't stay on the front lines. I'm going to go work for corporate America, you know, buy a house and settle down and say, fuck it, you know? But the choice, like you get into this place of like, you're constantly choosing the liberation, right? That's always the choice. And that choice can also mean that you invite people along with you. And that becomes your community. Those people who are making the choices with you, that's your community. That's who you rely on. You know? And it can get lonely. Sometimes there's a loneliness that happens when you feel as if there's no one else around you who understands what you're doing, who gets what you're doing. You know, I call that the lonesome valley, like that kind of like feeling of just like you're in this really desolate place, right? And when you find yourself there, you just keep going. And you just remember, and this is true, you remember that people are relying on you. Right? There are people watching you, figuring out if this is actually worth it, right? So you may feel alone, but people are like really actually being inspired by what you're trying to do to get free, to understand liberation. And you may look like a mess doing it, but who cares? You know, anyone who is on the front lines doing their work knows that this feels like a fucking mess often. It feels like a fucking mess. You look like a fucking mess. The people you're in the community with are fucking messes. And you're just like, why are we so intense? Why are we like this? Because this is what it means to attempt to consume the chaos instead of the chaos consuming you. This is what it means to disrupt the state instead of the state continually disrupting you. Like, this is what it means for us to struggle to define who we are, and in the face of a massive experience like the carceral state, who is always trying to suppress us. Right? And you may not have the autonomy of body, you know, to have complete autonomy or to have complete agency over your body, to make choices about your body, to leave where you've been put, to make choices about the kind of support that you get for your body. Yeah, that's all of us. Like, we're all held by that. But it doesn't mean that the state can continue to influence how you think. Right? When do we free our minds? When do you free your minds? And if Dharma doesn't do that, I don't know what Dharma is doing. If you're not using Dharma to get free, I don't know, right, what you're doing. But people do. Yes, we can use Dharma to facilitate all kinds of narratives that are not about getting free and liberated. And you have to divest from those people as well. Again, you will be misunderstood when you actually choose to get free through the Dharma, which is so ironic. Right? When we wrote Radical Dharma, people were just like, what are you doing? This isn't Dharma. I was like, then what the fuck is Dharma then? Like, how are you? I don't get it. You know, are we reading the different books? Is there a different Buddha? Right? Like, is there like a whole different shadow kind of dharmic community that I don't know about? Because we seem to be talking about two different things here. You're talking about getting comfortable. I'm talking about getting the fuck out of here. You know, like, what books are you reading? You know, like, because my teachers weren't saying that. You know, maybe you have different teachers. And I know teachers are saying that. I'm not being sarcastic. There are teachers who are talking about how justice is not a dharmic principle, right? It's so unbearable. Yeah. But why are you trying to do this alone? Why is it just you sitting with your trauma and your pain when you have all these Buddhists who are like, I'm here. What do you need? Right? The mother arises a space in tantric practices, right? Like, why aren't you just like asking for the mother to like awaken within the trauma? You know? Why aren't you like opening up to like the ancestors who are really actually trying to help you instead of carrying around this grudge because they weren't who you thought they were, because they were fucking human and made human decisions and mistakes, and you can't possibly bear to deal with that, right? People change, regardless of if they're embodied or not. Beings can change, right? I mean, there's so much joy for me right now. This is intense, but like, I'm so grateful to be doing this, that I'm born into a life where I fucking get the point. Like, I get it. I have to help. I'm helping. This is not my home. This is an experience. There's a greater, more expansive experience, and I want to return back to that. And in doing so, I want to help others to do the same, because no one deserves to suffer. Even the ones we think do deserve to suffer, even those ones don't. No one deserves. Buddhists do not deserve to suffer. Right? We're all Buddhists, no matter how intense we are with our violence. We're all Buddhists. We can't ever forget that. The most vilest people are just the most confused people, the most deluded people. And they deserve a chance to get free. So let's just practice a little bit. Now, I fear that may go a little longer, but we'll see what happens at 8:30. So obviously, a lot of energy has been stirred up for you. And just to name that, there's a lot that's been triggered, that's opened for me, right? And even with what we're experiencing, be it fear, anxiety, frustration, anger, despair, sadness, confusion, right? No matter what's been awakened, the nature of everything is always this pure essence of emptiness, space, energy. No matter what it is. So let's start there. You have to start there. Everything that I'm experiencing is arising out of emptiness itself and the space, right? That everything that's happening is an experience. It is not inherently who or what I am. This is how we build a toolbox of practices, right? Like, for me, it's like pulling out these reflections, these contemplations. Whenever I get stuck in something or feel overwhelmed, this is where I go to first. And this is just an experience arising out of emptiness, which is already liberated, a liberated state. And if you're working with your breath, and it's okay if you're not right now, but if you are working with the breath, just turning a little bit of attention into the breath, noticing the in breath and the out breath. And again, as I often teach with this simple practice, is imagining inhaling into the energy that feels heavy or stuck. wherever that is arising or showing up for you in your mind or in your body. Inhaling into that. Just imagine that inhale begins to dissolve or to loosen up that intense energy. And then we exhale, release that out with the out breath. And so inhaling through the nose and then releasing, exhaling through the mouth. As you exhale through the mouth, making a soft H sound. So like this, inhaling. And as you're releasing, really believing that you're letting go, releasing, getting rid of. Again, everything is an experience. Everything arises out of emptiness. I can breathe into these experiences and release them. I am not the only one. Another contemplation. I am not the only one who feels, fill in the blank, feels overwhelmed or angry or full of grief. I am not the only one. I'm not the only one who's struggling to choose freedom. Open up this tendency to isolate, right, through the use of I and me. It's not just me, it's us. We're struggling to get free. We're overwhelmed. These are just experiences. Everything arises out of emptiness. Couple more seconds here. And we're going to go deeper, right? And just to let you know, I'm not going to offer prayers tonight, but I'm going to offer those in my private practice. So as we move deeper into the practice, please go ahead and populate that document. I'm going to take that into my personal prayer practice. So I want us to kind of spend a lot more time in practice tonight. And also, just to remind you, you can also, take this prayer list too and offer it in your personal prayers as well. And just noticing what feels distracting, right? Noticing how things kind of like creep up on us and just like throw us off. like the anxieties, the worries, the confusions. And then for some of you, yes, this space will open up, right? And it will begin to kind of awaken, a lot of these things that you've been really trying to push away, like the heartbreak and the sadness and the despair. This is the gift of space, right? It allows what needs to be there to be there. And what needs to be up front for many of us is our willingness, or really the basic experience, showing up to the basic experience of grieving. And as some of you notice that grief, return back to the contemplations. I am not alone. This is just an experience. Even this intense grief is arising from emptiness. And you can allow yourself to experience helplessness. Right? You don't know what to do. That's okay, because you're not the only one. But you'll never know how to figure out how to respond, right? And how to do work and how to make different choices if you don't acknowledge and tend to the experience of helplessness. Just acknowledging, naming helplessness is actually a response that is helpful. You are doing something really important by naming the helplessness. So when you're ready, even touching into the seat. So noticing the weight of the body, the seat rising to hold you. Heartbreak is a lot easier to deal with, and grief is a lot easier to deal with when you feel you're being held by something. I can just feel the seat under me. And that feels like such a profound kindness to be held. And just trusting the seat to hold you. And be gentle. Like, be kind with yourself. Be gentle. It's okay. And so, of course, As we shift our attention even deeper, we touch into the earth, to the land. And when we touch the earth like this, we are touching all beings connected to this land, to the earth. Those beings who are suffering the most, and those beings who maybe believe they're not suffering at all. All of us are being held by the earth. So in a real way, like you're touching every being right now by consciously touching the earth. And maybe you begin to reflect on how, as you're touching the earth and touching all beings, how all these beings are just like you. Like people, beings don't want to suffer, even though we may make choices that intensify suffering. We still don't want to suffer. And we want to be happy. Like real happiness, the kind of happiness that awakens when we begin to transcend the causes and conditions of suffering. And this is all really just saying at the end that like everyone actually just wants to be free, even though you may not know it or get it. Like we're trying to return home to what we are. And maybe we're confused about that journey back, but we're trying to do it. And again, as we often do in this practice, I invite you to begin to remember your benefactors, or your homecoming circle, right? All the beings who love you, and you don't have to know who these beings are. You just say, please, all the beings who love me, who want me to be safe and happy and resourced, please come and join me right now. Please awaken in the space around me. Feeling that connection to this community of beings who have for a very long time been trying to get you free, who have been trying to love you deeply. Allow them to show up, to be present, to sit with you. And initially just beginning to feel their love, their deep care for you, in whatever way feels appropriate right now. How are you connecting to and feeling this intense care and love your benefactors have for you? All of your guides and mentors and ancestral deities and spirits and angels and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And the list, of course, can go on and on. There are so many kinds of beings who love us. let them be here and let them express this love initially in whatever way feels appropriate for you. You have to learn how to ask for help. You have to learn, there's no other way, you have to learn how to reach out and ask to be held and cared for. You have to expand and extend beyond the rigid walls of your identities and your traumas, right? And your misconceptions. You have to believe in something, right? You have to believe that you are surrounded by care. If you don't, there's no other way to get free. You need the care to do the work of liberation. There's no other way to make it this far and to go all the way if you're not being held. And we'll transition into our opening mantra from Medicine Buddha. Zomen la sange kino soha, which will appear in the chat box. And Medicine Buddha, please think of me. Please see me. Please be with me. Please hold me. Whatever you need right now, ask for it as we begin our chanting. And we'll begin with and then we'll also end our chanting with and we'll chant the mantra 3 times. Again, beginning with ending with okay? Beginning with Om la sange kino soa. Om la sange kino soa. Om la sange kino soa. So in the space around us, the space that has been populated by our benefactors, we begin to imagine that our benefactors begin to radiate in the soft white light. And they begin to dissolve into this light. And slowly this light begins to condense and come together into a ball, a sphere of light, like a little pearl of light twinkling in front of us. And slowly that pearl of light begins to expand and to awaken into Medicine Buddha. And Medicine Buddha can take on the form of any expression that feels appropriate for you. However you understand this kind of archetypal healer, that's who Medicine Buddha becomes for you. Or Medicine Buddha can become this blue Buddha sitting in monk's robes on the lotus seat. But this expression of Medicine Buddha in front of you is also radiating the soft white light. And this light is the radiance of Medicine Buddha's awakened mind, liberated mind. And though we have the same minds, our minds are the same minds of all the Buddhas, the only difference is that the Buddhas know and remember that they are liberated. And that's the only difference. That phenomena no longer distracts them. And they are aware of their own innate expression of emptiness and space and energy. And this is the journey that we have to choose, this journey to return back to remembering our fundamental nature. And slowly we bring our attention to the heart center of the Medicine Buddha expression in front of us. And in Medicine Buddha's heart center is the main mantra of Medicine Buddha, Tea Taum Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rasa Sumo Gate Sova. And a mantra, like our mantra page, is just circled. It's a circle, a mantra wheel, actually, that's rotating clockwise in the heart center. We begin to imagine that slowly the mantra in Medicine Buddha's heart center begins to slowly emanate and release this kind of gentle stream of white light that actually begins to enter into our heart centers, beginning to fill our heart centers, our bodies, with the blessings of Medicine Buddha. And as we move into our mantra practice, just imagine that this stream of awakened energy from Medicine Buddha is just really pouring into our bodies through our heart centers, and allowing ourselves to drink deeply from this medicine of Medicine Buddha. And we'll begin with our mantra. And again, you can just listen, you can chant along, whatever feels appropriate for you. O te Adam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungatis oha. Te Adam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Raza sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Raza sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Raza sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Raza sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, Rasa sumungatis oa. Te andam begenze, begenze, ma begenze, 라스수문가테소아 대한다운 백연세 백연세 마백연세 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 라스수문가테소아. So as we move into the last part of our mantra practice, I invite you to imagine that as you're being filled with this energy, this blessings of Medicine Buddha, that all the stuff that you're struggling with, all the grief, the helplessness, everything is dissolving within this energy of Medicine Buddha, and that this energy is just slowly being released from your body. It's almost as if it's just beginning to kind of like radiate out of the body as your body is being filled with this energy of Medicine Buddha. And slowly we can begin to imagine that as we're kind of cleansed of all this kind of heavy energy, we begin to slowly transform and manifest as a reflection or an emanation of the Medicine Buddha in front of us. And that we become the great healer as we ourselves are being healed by the great Buddha of healing. And we begin again. 태양다운 백연세 백연세라 백연세라 수무가테소와 대야다운 백연세 백연세라 백연세라 수무가테소와 대야다운 백연세 백연세라 백연세라서 수문가티소와 대야다운 백연세 백연세라 백연세라서 수문가티소와 대야다운 백연세 백연세 마백연세라서 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 수문가티소와 Deada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sunugate soa. Deada begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sunugate soa. Just sitting for a couple of moments, just in this form as medicine Buddha. And when you're ready, we begin to imagine that the medicine Buddha in front of us begins to dissolve into white light. And that white light is streamed right into our heart center as we are still manifestations of medicine Buddha. And slowly our bodies as medicine Buddha begins to dissolve into white light. And this white light is condensed into this pearl of light, which represents our consciousness. And this ball of white light slowly begins to dissolve into emptiness. And our consciousness is returned back to its most fundamental, boundless experience, mingling in emptiness itself. Now slowly, our physical bodies begin to re-arise. We begin to notice our bodies again in the seat, how the seat is rising to hold us. We begin to move through just simple stretches to reawaken our bodies, gentle movements. Perhaps a few deep cleansing breaths. allowing ourselves to come back into the space. And then we'll just move into our dedication, Shantideva's prayer. And then if there are any questions at the end, I'll take those. And we'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space, with the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. All right. Well, thank you all so much for your practice. And I'll just take a few questions to Sharon. Want to come on?
Yes, thank you, Lama Rod, for the practice. I came to a barrier in my practice that is not the first time I've experienced it, but it's the first time I've been able to name it. And it's like a cage around my heart. And I realized, it's a protection. It's a lack of trust that even medicine Buddha is going to take care of my tender, broken heart. And it was even a physical sensation during the practice today. And I realized that fear has been with me for a long time, and it interferes in relationships because I don't trust other people's care for me. And I wanted to talk about that and how to how to support myself in healing that and getting past that.
Well, so a lot of that experience is ancestral, that energy around the heart, that barrier around the heart, right? And that's going to be something that you have to sit with the grandmothers about you have to go to the grandmothers and ask them, well, to let them know that you have what you need and that protection doesn't have to be there any longer, right? And that to reassure them that you can handle it, and to ask for that barrier to be dissolved, to ask for their medicine to dissolve the barrier.
Lama Rod, you said assure them that I can handle it.
Mm-hmm.
First, I have to assure myself because I don't know that I'm there yet. That I have the confidence to say that I can handle it because my heart feels so tender and fragile.
Well,
And
it's suffocating. That's why it's tender and fragile. You have to let that barrier go. You can't, it's not breathing. There's no air. Nothing's getting past that barrier, so it's shrinking.
Yeah,
If you keep it up, it's gonna just keep getting worse. So the best risk to take is this risk of the unknown. About what
isn't that always the way?
isn't it right? And that you're gonna have to let the heartbreak, like you have to let that pass through you. Again, it's not just you. That's the thing. It's not just you. It's the brokenheartedness of so many that came before you, right? But you're not in a real way. You're not your ancestors, right?
Yeah.
Just enabling each other right now.
Thank you.
So lots of prayers, right? Lots of sitting, with their grandmother's medicines, right? Just release to let go. All right. Okay. Who's this? Who's next? Did I see someone's hands?
Madeline.
Hey, Lama Rod.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Hanging in there.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there too. I'm sitting with what you were naming today around liberation, and the place where I'm feeling stuck is trying to navigate what the difference is in moving through the world from a place of liberation versus moving through the world from a place of like inner control. And I'm thinking about like clarity as like being the space that kind of evokes like what's me, what's not me, and like finding boundary in that. But what I'm feeling challenged by is like, how do you discern between those two things, like moving too much from inner control versus moving from a place of liberation?
So repeat the question one more time.
What's your take on what it is to move through the world from liberation versus to move through the world from a place of control?
Okay. With liberation, whatever happens, happens. Right? And that we are trusting our practice to meet what happens. That every second we're doing what we can, right, to reduce delusion and harm and violence to benefits, right, to help. And then beyond that, whatever happens, whatever comes. And we meet whatever arises with practice. So really at the end of the day, it's the practice, that it's the trust that you have in your practice to move through the world, like knowing that you can't really control a lot, but you can control how you meet whatever arises, or you can determine how you wish to respond to what happens. That's the only real control that we have.
Yeah, so it's not like it's like maybe where some people feel like that loss of control, it causes them to spiral out because there's nothing to anchor into. There's not a practice there.
There's no guarantee
Mm-hmm.
of anything, But the spiraling is just this intense investment in self and ego and narratives. Because let's just go back to the bottom line, there's nothing happening to begin with, except for my disorientation around what I think is real or not. Like so much of this kind of swirling is really our habitual avoidance of suffering. In a way, the suffering can anchor us if we choose to tend to it, right? Because the suffering is actually leading to something very truthful, which is, of course, is emptiness. That there was no suffering to begin with.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. That gives me something to chew on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Andy, I think you're next.
Hi, Lama Rod. Thank you so much for practice tonight. And I pre-ordered the book a long time ago. I keep waiting for it to come because it's supposed to come in October. So hopefully it'll come soon. I was wondering if you might feel up to giving a few examples, perhaps from your personal experience, of what it looks like when phenomenal reality does start to support you in your liberation. Because the sense I get, and it feels really powerful intuitively to me, that once you choose and you are clear and you meet the suffering that is in front of you and work on increasing your capacity to be able to be present in that suffering, that is the type of thing that the ancestors are going to have your back on, and that you will have help. And I'm curious what that's looked like for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say first that like I'm not so afraid of the world anymore like I used to be. Right. And the more once you start really choosing freedom, then there are a lot of energies that start really working actively to support you. Those energies, you can call these beings, you can call these ancestors, you can call these Buddhas, deities, what have you. Like you begin to understand that you're being held, you're being supported. It's not just you, or it's not just you and other people, right? There's an unseen world that's actually beginning to shape itself more around you to guide you to liberation, because you're letting go of using phenomena to distract you.
And that appears kind of just like we've talked in the past about if you do practice for a while, then the nature begins to feel somehow inexplicably more substantial than other things, and you like trees will just send I have to like whisper so other people don't see me because I have to like thank the trees.
Yeah.
So is it like that where it's just kind of a certainty that happens inside?
Yeah, a certainty, a trust, right? But it's also the realness of phenomenal world that begins to dissolve. The edginess of realness begins to dull, right? And then you begin.
Example of that from personal experience, or for instance, I'm so curious what that means for you.
Yeah.
The edginess, like it doesn't suck so hard.
No, I can be happy when people are in overwhelming despair.
I see.
And that despair, that happiness doesn't avoid anything. Like I'm still in tune to the collective sorrow. I'm still in tune to mine, but it's not the only thing that's happening in my experience.
I see. That
Space
makes so
is
much
happening.
sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
hmm And so there were some questions about the grandmothers, grandfathers. This comes from a lot of indigenous practice, indigenous cultures around the world. I'm rooted um, within Dagara traditions, which is Burkina Faso practice, Ghana. Those are my ancestral practices that I train in and study in. But you find that here in Native American cultures here as well in the United States. But anyway, there's this kind of like sacred binary of the grandfathers and the grandmothers, and the grandmothers, the grandmothers and the grandfathers have specific medicines that we rely on, right? And so the grandmothers are about healing, holding space, nurturing, Medicine Buddha is a grandmother's practice. And that's why I think so many of you are tuning in to grandmother energy, because that's when I practice Medicine Buddha, I sit with the grandmothers in circle. And when we talk about the grandfathers protect, they open the pathways, they offer permission. So these are just kind of like energies that are always coming up, and we're just learning how to tune into these kinds of energies to use them to get things done, right? So when I was talking about asking the grandmothers, and when you're talking about that kind of practice, then you're learning how to ask for the particular kind of medicine that you need, right? So, and then that's it. We don't particularly have that in like traditional Tibetan Buddhist practice, but how much do I teach actually comes from Tibetan Buddhism, right? So anyway, let me just back up and say I teach a lot that comes from Tibetan that didn't come out right, that didn't come out exactly the way I wanted. But what I meant to say is that I stream in so many other kinds of practices and traditions that I'm rooted into and initiated into as well. And some of you are sneaky enough that you can read what I'm doing, because you are in those same traditions, but I don't talk about them all. It's the hidden life. And yeah, so so this whole this whole experience of reality is just so, at this point in my practice, just very different. I have an experience of the essence of everything. Like I can feel that emptiness. I can go into that emptiness. The reason you have experiences and practice, well, part of the reason you can have experiences and practices with me, because I'm coming from that place, and I open the door. As a grandfather, if we talk about that kind of binary medicine, as a grandfather, my role is to open doors, to open pathways, to protect places, to make sure that there's space for medicine to happen. Like that's my role in this kind of like understanding of ceremonial practice. And of course, we practice both medicines, right? Practice the grandmother's medicine but they don't mix well either. So it's not like you're mixing. These energies, these medicines are very specific, and in certain traditions, and particularly in Dagra, right? In the Dagra tradition, it's like it's very specific, but we've lost that kind of connection to kind of this more indigenous way of being, where we're very, very connected to the phenomenal, to the unseen world, as well as the natural world, right? That's been the result of all kinds of systems, capitalism, colonialism, patriarchy, have disrupted this kind of close relationship to the unseen, and disrupted our connection to the natural world and to the elements and so forth and so on, to the body. Goes on and on and on and on and on. All right, so I think that's it. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to be doing some more. I have a program, Instagram Live, that I'll be doing this week on Wednesday. If you don't catch it, it'll be posted either in the newsletter, definitely on my Instagram page. Just like doing a little bit of emotional labor, care work, for folks right now. Lots is happening. The book is coming out. Love and Rage, next course is starting soon. We have a grief ceremony with Tara, using Tara, in a couple of weeks in November that you can sign up for. Then we have our practice groups that will be starting up again soon. So yeah, lots of stuff. Okay. I think that's it for me. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for hanging in there. Right. Remember this practice. Go back to the video. We have all these videos up. We don't put these videos up just because we're bored. Let me just restate that people don't put these videos up because they're bored. I don't even know where these videos go to, literally. So people like Eric and Karen, make sure these videos, stay up somewhere. So thank you for that. Right. I think that's it. All right. We'll be well, everyone. And I'll see you again at some online or in-person venue. All right. Thank you, everyone.